Hi, Midnight Believers. It is Stacy. I'm so excited about this topic. It's about identifying a covenant friend from a distance. Identifying a covenant friend from a distance. So I've been doing research on what a covenant friendship should look like. So I'm going to do a quick prayer and explain to you what this is going to be about, because I'm going to do a series of videos on this topic because there is a lot of information. So dear Jesus, I just thank you for this opportunity that you have given me to share your word. I pray that you continue to pour into me as I am just your vessel. Give me the right words to say, and I pray that this will touch somebody's life and that it will help someone to distinguish godly friendships and change and transform someone's life and their relationships. Amen. So this topic is so important to me, especially I feel like around, you sometimes see this more with, in my experience, I could be wrong, with women, that our friendships can be filled with drama, and I would sometimes experience this, and I'm not about the drama. Like, I'm really not. I want peaceful relationships. I really do, but I tend to not have that. And it was partly my fault because I was putting covenant expectations on seasonal friends. And I believe there is a category. There are your acquaintances. There are your seasonal friends who are there just for a season. You're pouring into them or they're pouring into you, and that's what it is. Once that season's up, you kind of drift apart and you go your separate ways. And there's situational friendships where we are serving together, we're volunteering together, we love the Lord, we just have some connections, but once that opportunity ends, we go our separate ways. We don't really hear from each other. Maybe once in a while you hit them up. Then there are people you really connect with, that you have a commonality in terms of your love for God, how much you're pursuing him. You just click. You just really click. And I would say that's a godly friendship. Then you get to covenant friendship. That's where iron sharpens iron. You are pushing me. I am pushing you closer to God. I'm willing to lay my life down for you. And even if you're not a Christian, no matter what your faith is or what your beliefs are, there's a lot of wisdom that you can pull from this. So I'm excited to share this with you because I wish I studied this before. It could have saved me a lot of problems. So hopefully it will save you from some tumultuous, I always say that word, funny, but you know what I mean, friendships. Okay, where I'm gonna go to. Okay, so identifying a covenant friend from a distance. So we look at Proverbs 19:20. It says to listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you'll be counted among the wise. So if you go into what advice is and we further define it, it means counsel, suggestions which offer the best course of action, guidance. Discipline in Greek is actually translated as instruction. So this is a person who will be counted among the wise. A person who would be identified as such is someone who receives instruction. So let's translate that in today's society. So if you know somebody who is like, I know what's best, I know what I'm doing, nobody needs to tell me anything, I don't know why I can't go over there, like every boundary you set, they always break it. They know what's best. They fast 10 times a day. They pray every day. They're the best at what they do. Nobody knows how hard they work. No one can tell me nothing. I should be the boss. I don't have to listen to my boss. Like, people who cannot take instruction, run away as fast as you can. That is a really bad sign. That means they are not disciplined, and more so likely they will influence you rather you having an influence over them, and it would just be overwhelming to pursue a friendship. That is an acquaintance. That is definitely an acquaintance. So yes, I'm going to go into a few other things. So I'm going to look at Proverbs 17:4. So when we look at Proverbs 17:4, it says, a wicked person listens to deceitful lips. A liar pays attention to a destructive tongue. So if you're with someone who, let's say they're getting information from a source which is not credible, you know this person's character is a little shady, and they're saying, look, I heard from so-and-so that blah, 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 blah is happening. So-and-so's a liar. So-and-so's a cheater. So-and-so's stepping out in their marriage. And you know this person is just getting their information from a source that is deplorable, for lack of better words. It says that that person is considered as wicked just for opening their ear to such evil. So if you have that person in your group or your circle, I would gradually be mindful of that. I would not, in my advice, based on the Bible, is I would not pursue a close friendship with them. I would pray for them, and you can always reach out, but definitely establish boundaries. That is not somebody you want in your inner circle. The next thing I saw is, this is something that stood out to me. This is Proverbs 17:9. Proverbs 17 was just giving me life, so just bear with me. But Proverbs 17:9 says, "Who would foster love covers an offense, but whoever repeats the matter separates close friends." So, and I can personally vouch for this. Sometimes you would have a friendship. It's like they're constantly trying to bring up something that you've done. Like, you're this, you're that, you're a liar, you're a cheater, you're a deceiver, you're a gossiper. They just cannot let anything go. They'll hold on to every wrong and crucify you and hold on to whatever you've done wrong, like a dog holding on to a bone. Very easily offended. That is someone you want to be mindful of, because it says that in Proverbs 17:9 that whoever would foster love covers an offense. So where is the love there? Love is supposed to cover an offense. Now, let me tell you this, covenant friendships are not easy. So as you are identifying them, I want to start playing a question on whether or not we are embodying these characteristics as well. Because if you love someone, it will cover an offense. But if someone's constantly reminding you of every little thing you do wrong and is not willing to move on, they're not acting in love. And it's something that I would definitely reevaluate. I would definitely evaluate and really think about your friendship and consider whether it's something worth pursuing, because this causes a separation. If you address this and you're just not getting anywhere, my opinion, I would just say let bygones be bygones, because it is more pain and it's not worth the trouble. So just to elaborate on that, it's like a friend that loves and forgives. They do not constantly bring up your faults. It will only just cause you to go your separate ways. So I'm also going to go on Proverbs 17, once again, 10. A rebuke impresses a discerning person more than 100 lashes a fool. I love this verse because at first I didn't understand it. But once I looked into it and did some research, and I used the internet and the Bible book that offered commentary, it gave me so much insight. I thought it was so rich. Essentially, a rebuke impresses a discerning person more than 100 lashes a fool. So what is a discerning person? A discerning person can distinguish difficult things by sight or other senses. And this brought me peace, because I always thought I was weird a little bit, because I was a person who, if I heard about your pain and your situation, I would say, I'm not gonna go down that path, because your story is a testament to my life and it's enough for me. Like, that's enough for me. Like, I don't need to try and do drugs because I heard about all the things that you went through and the rehab and the pain and the isolation and losing your money, your career, your respect. Honestly, that is enough for me to tell me, probably don't want to try cocaine. Like that is resonating with my spirit. If you're telling me that you were in this relationship, you stepped out of God's will, and that relationship caused you to be so far from God, and now you're in a marriage where somebody's not pursuing Christ all the way they should, although God has promised you their salvation, you have to do double the work to make sure your family's covered. That is enough for me to motivate me to say, I would rather wait on the Lord's timing. So that is an example of discernment. So I felt like I could relate to that. And we all have the ability to be discerning. The second part of that verse in chapter 17, verse 10, it says, An individual is marked by wise warning and instruction. A fool would rather take the beating. That's basically what it's saying. A fool, okay, I'm gonna give you an example. For instance, have you ever heard someone say, well, like, some people can get, advice and they listen to it. I'm a person who needs to experience and feel the consequences of my actions in order to learn. Like, that's how I learn. That person is saying, I'm a fool. I'm a fool. I'm a bigger fool. Like, that's basically what they're saying. It's the most ridiculous thing. I have heard people say this, and I was like, that don't make no kind of sense. And usually that person keeps doing, like, going around and around and around in this never-ending circle of bad decisions because they don't listen. So if you're seeing this, and just to go back again, like, a rebuke essentially is not necessarily what we consider what a rebuke is today. A rebuke is something that is a word of knowledge that says, hey, from someone who is wise and godly counsel, you are going on the wrong path. So someone says, oh, well, so-and-so said I need to stop dating Brian, but she doesn't know nothing about my relationship, talking about she has a word from God, and Brian is no good for Jessica. I'm just making up names. Brian is no good for Jessica. That person cannot take a rebuke, and it's going to be hard to establish a covenant friendship with that person. So I would be mindful of that. 17:4 says, a wicked person listens to deceitful lips. A liar pays attention to a destructive tongue. So if someone is saying something which is not credible, it's not coming from a credible source, and they're saying, I heard this from that person, they told me that so-and-so stepping out on their marriage, so-and-so was doing this, so-and-so has stole that, did you hear that, pastor, blah blah blah, Sandy told me. And everybody knows Sandy speaks the most vile things and will do anything to demolish a person's character and is not credible. That is someone who is considered wicked. So not even a friend, wicked, because they are allowing themselves to be poured and filled up with evil thoughts. They want to be filled and fed by evil. So you stay away from that person. And I want to continue on. Proverbs 17:4. No, okay, just read that. Sorry. Proverbs 17:19. It says, whoever loves a quarrel loves sin. Whoever builds a high gate invites destruction. So I would say, do they like to argue? If you know someone, like, you drop of a dime, they will argue over everything. I mean, like, they will just like, can you just chill? Like, can you just relax? Why do you have to fight everything? A person who fights everything and they don't know when to stop and they continue to argue and keep the argument going and they feed the fire, they love sin. So most likely they will open the door for sin in your life, because if you are making yourself one with this person, they're going to open the door for sin. So these are certain traits to look out for. So I've been mentioning and throwing around the word covenant. And essentially, a covenant is a contract or agreement between two or more parties. God has made a covenant with us when he redeemed us, right? And he died on the cross and rose from the dead, and so that we can be with him if we choose to follow him. So he made a covenant with us. During the biblical times, it was a verbal society. A lot of people were illiterate and couldn't write or read. So essentially, your word was your bond. That is how people made contracts. Your word was extremely important during that time. So if you're giving your word to somebody or an agreement with someone, it was a very powerful thing. You're putting your life on the line, or your family on the line, or you're putting your home on the line. Like, if you look in the Bible, people would say, I'm saying the truth. And if that's not the truth, may God take whomever's life. Okay, let me give a better example. Like, for instance, when you look at the story of Jacob and Lot. And when when Jacob ran away from Lot and Lot chased after him, he said, someone took some of my possessions, and his wife Rachel took his gods and hid them, right, in her camel sack. One thing that stood out to me, Jacob said, what? I didn't take anything from you. You can search everyone around me, my family. You can search my wives. And if you find something, may they die right now. Like their life should be taken. Because he felt that confident that he can give his word. Like that's how people spoke back then. Like their word was everything. And thankfully they didn't find anything in Rachel's camel sack, because it would have been over for her probably, unless God extended mercy on her life. Well, he technically did, because she wasn't caught. But that is something to definitely consider regarding what a covenant friend is. So I do have a little bit more information. Let's see. So I'm looking at Proverbs 18:24, and it says, one who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So if you can't rely on somebody, you can't trust them, their word is inconsistent, when they say they're going to do something, they never follow through, you can't depend on them, they're not trustworthy, they're very fickle, they say one thing and do another. You ever heard of fair weather friends? Those are people who you don't want to necessarily rock with. Basically what it says in Proverbs 18:24 is that you're going to eventually come to ruin. So if you continue to maintain this kind of friendship, it will ruin you. But someone who sticks closer than a brother, that means that they are so reliable, so faithful, that it's almost as if your bond is even deeper than your blood relatives. That's what it means when it says a friend sticks closer than a brother. So these are just some of the characteristics I think that is important to look into when you're looking into covenant friendships that will bring you closer to God. So you can look back from a distance and say, you know what, God, I think so-and-so is pretty cool. I would like to develop a friendship with them. Don't force it. God will open the door. Okay, you don't have to force it. He will open that door for you. But you're going to start seeing their character. And I really encourage you, before you open your heart and try to establish a covenant, a contract with someone, seek God first. That's all. God bless. More videos are to come. Love you.